So welcome back, everybody. This is the third session for the boundless freedom. So what's being expressed here in this immediacy, in this directness, in this intimacy, and this is a shocker, there are no separate realities. There are no separate dreams. You can't intercept someone's dream. There are no separate thoughts. Ooh. You can't bust into someone's perception. You can't impose that there are no observers. So there's no observer, there's no reality, there's no separateness, there's no different dreams, that there's no others. So even if in this room, in this apparent room, if you look around, there are no others. Or even in this apparent Zoom meeting, you're looking at these screens of some people, and there are no others in this screen. And that's quite hard to understand. That there's only this singular perception of reality, this singular thought, this singular belief, this singular dream, but there are no other dreamers. Everything that's appearing in this apparent instance is not really appearing. It's not really here. You can't jump into Michelle's thoughts and say, I know what you're thinking about, Michelle. Because there's no Michelle there. You can't jump into what I'm thinking because there's no Emerson here. So there's no 8.5 billion thinkers out there. There's this singular dream, this singular illusion, and everything that you perceive, including others, is an illusion. So you're dancing with emptiness. You're interacting with no one. But in the apparent dream, there seems to be an interaction. If I ask you, how are you? You'll say, I'm fine. How's it going over there? You say, well, it's okay. How was the Blanche de Chambly over there, Melina? And that seems to be what's happening, but there's this singular perception, and that singular perception actually is zero. It's not really even happening. But let's go back into that singular perception that seems to be what is this separation. So there's this story that supports a story by talking to another story and say that, well, in my perception, this is what's happening. There's still a me here. How about you? There's still a me here. There's still me here. So this creates this illusion that this me is being confirmed that there's still a me because there's still a me there. But really, all of this is just this mirrors of illusion reflecting each other's delusion. And it's quite hard to understand. It's not understandable. But you can't jump into someone's thought and say that, oh, that's a reality. There's only one reality. And there's one reality is you. And that reality is an illusion. And that illusion is just a belief that you exist. And everything that you see seems to be real. You can't bust into someone's perception and say that, I know what you're perceiving. You will never know what my perception is. I will never know what your perception is. You can know what Michelle's or everybody else is in this room because there's no separate perceptions. And it's really, it's almost kind of like nihilistic sometimes, thinking that there's only this. But it's not a belief. It's just seeing that there's no one here. So everything that it sees is an illusion. So an illusion will talk to you illusory stuff, and you respond with illusory stuff. It doesn't make this real and you real. It's just everything is unreal that feels completely real. So if I am talking to you, you know what I'm saying, you think that I am real, and you will think that what I'm saying is completely true. There's the belief that there's hierarchies in what seems to be appearing, but what's appearing is this singular illusion that it feels completely real, but it's not real. And it's just this echoes of this thought that this is happening, but really nothing is happening. And it cannot really be understood. It cannot really be understood because this is almost like an empty programming that there is others and others interact with you, and therefore confirming each other's illusions. Yeah. And in this confirmation, I'm having this illusion that there are others, therefore I'm real. If you're there, then I must be real. Please confirm this with me. You know, it's this confirmation that this is how I feel, and this interaction feels completely relevant. It's completely happening. Meaning that if my experience is, this is my experience, and this meeting actually seems to reinforce that, that there's a meeting happening, but really there's nothing happening. This is just clearly, you know, it's kind of funny because, you know, some speakers would say, and there's nothing happening. There's no one here. This meeting is not happening. But when people go to the breakout room, how is that for you? It's a confirmation that this is something that is happening. And there's nothing wrong or right about that. It's just seemingly what seems to appear. There's this appearance that there's this interaction happening. But if there's no time, how is this even possible that there's an interaction? If there's no you, how can there be others? So it's easy to believe that there's no you. Well, I know that there's no me, some people will say. But the moment that there's others that will say that, well, I'm still here, then it melds into that confusion, right? Or the worst part is this. When there's a speaker speaking of this emptiness, exposing that there's just this emptiness. There's illumination that there's nothing happening, that there's no you and I, that this is all unconditional love, that there is no thing appearing as everything. Then there's this perception that the speaker is somewhere that they are not. That there's a specialness happening there. I want to get to where Emerson is, or whatever speaker is. But at the same time, the speaker is saying that there's no one here. So how can you get here when there's no one here? And then it becomes this, oh, well, there's no Emerson. So I want to get to where Emerson is. See how that tricky it is? There's a belief that there's an Emerson that became no Emerson, that I can become that. So it goes really, really underground into thinking that something can happen to a me because it happened to a me called Emerson. Let's pull the rug completely off. There's never been an Emerson. There's never been a you. There's never been anything. There's no other speakers. What speakers? So in this directness and this immediacy of this, there's nothing special here. And sadly, there's nothing special there as well. This is just emptiness. This is just sitting on a chair, talking to a mic, talking about nothingness, talking about emptiness. And the delicious emptiness that is appearing as this vibrant, radiant, whatever it is speaking about this vibrant emptiness, radiance, but there's no one behind it. And also, this hearing this that seems to either be clearly hearing that there's no one here, understanding or misunderstanding, thinking that how do I get there? There's also no one there. So what's being expressed here, if there's whatever is happening here is also happening there, because there's no here and there, there's no you and me, there's no 8.5 billion people with different experiences. So there's no like, oh, I wish the rest of the 8 billion, 0.5 billion people would hear this communication. There's no one else. This is a singular dream. In a singular dream, there seems to be 8.5 billion dreamers, but there's no 8.5 billion dreamers. It's a singular dream with the perception that there are others, but since it's a dream, everything that it dreams about collapses and it's really nothing. There's a singular thought that there are 8.5 billion thinkers, but when that thought collapses, that it originates from someone, then none of that really exists. There's a singular seeker that's seeking for whatever, thinking that there's others, but there's never been anyone. So what's being expressed here is the exposure that you are it, you are the singular illusion, or you're not even real. So everything that you perceive, or everything that you think is real is really not really happening. This is it. And you are it. And what's being pointed out is that you are the illusion that keeps on generating this illusion, thinking that there are other illusions. There's no better illusion than this. This is just a singular illusion. It's not even happening. That's why it's called an illusion. This illusion that feels completely real, this illusion that is separation, is not really happening. That's why when it's said that there's no meeting happening, this is not a Zoom meeting. There's no one talking here. There's no one here. There's no others. But seemingly, the perceiver, there's no perceiver, the one listening to this, translated as this. There's no one there, but there's still someone here. How do I get there? But there's no here and there's no there. If there's no one here, if this is non-duality, there's also no one there. So this room is empty. There's no one in the Zoom boxes. There's just ideas that there is people in this room. There's this feeling that there's separation happening. There's multiple people in this Zoom meeting. But since there's no time, how can there be a Zoom meeting? Since this is a dream, how can this be real? So in the dream of separation, there's a belief that seemingly the dream that appears in the daytime is heavier, and the dream at night seems lighter. But there's no day and there's no night. Everything that's appearing right now is just an idea of what should be and what should be not. There should be, there should be this, there should be that, and everything. And it's just this really running show of this apparent seeker, and there's no seeking happening. It's just an appearance. This is just all an appearance. This room is empty, this Zoom is empty, everything is empty. That's all, folks. And if you have any questions about that, please go ahead. Oh, wait, someone's hacking into my thoughts right now. No one can do that because there's only one thought. There are no other thoughts. So no one has ever thought of you. You've never thought about anyone. There's no thinker. No one can jump into your dream and say that, hey, Manuela, I was in your dream. And it doesn't work that way. There's only one perception, but there's an illusion, like 8.5 million mirrors with different angles, thinking that there is different dreamers. So if you have any questions about that, please go ahead. No? Too much?
But not too much.
Not talking to him no more. He doesn't have any questions.
Hey, David.
Hi, I caught just the tail end of your message because I was distracted. I didn't get into the meeting in time, so you'll forgive me if I haven't picked up what you
No worries at all. Yeah.
But it's certainly provoking what I did here.
Yes.
And I can't help but fall into, I guess it's a trap of specialness.
Yes.
But that's a trap, right?
It is a trap, yeah, because if there's no one here, there's no one there. There's no dreamer here, there's no dreaming there. There's no thought here, there's no thought there. And then there's this seeming kind of like, thinking that, oh, this is all me. But again, let's see how tricky that is. See
that's
how
like the God
underground
complex.
it goes, that this is all me doing all of this, but there's no you. Yeah. So let's yank the carpet off completely. There's no you perceiving this. It's an illusion.
It's just when you say there is a single illusion. That's what threw me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Illusion? That's what I mean, that it can get really into this nihilistic or solipsistic view that there's only me. But you know what? And that's the final draw almost, right? There's no you that's doing this. This is not being created by you. You did not create all of this 8.5 billion people.
Yeah.
That's how specialness appears, you know what I'm saying? And that's almost kind of like that thin line of this threshold, right? That there's no me, but there's only me.
Yeah.
When both are yanked completely, it's kind of like, oh fuck, I'm screwed, because everything that I'm perceiving, including me, is not real. So there's no specialness there anymore. We were talking about this in the apparent breakout room with Blanche de Chambly's about specialness, that once this is seen, it's almost like a grieving process of like, oh, I thought I was special. Because spirituality seems to, patch things up and think that, if I am consciousness, then all my unworthiness will be seemingly healed, right? But what seems to happen is that there is no you that's unworthy. There's no you at all. So everything that you perceive about you, the unworthiness, is also a call for specialness. Or that you're the only one perceiving this is a call for it's this trap, right? This trap that keeps on going and going and going, and that if there's no me, that's special. If there's only me, that's special. But when it's seen that there's no me and there's a me, when that's yanked off completely, you know what I'm saying? That everything that you're perceiving, including yourself, is unreal. So every single thought or idea about yourself is not true, but it feels completely true. Then there's this disorientation. So what's really going on? And we go back to what everyone is saying. No one is saying that this is a mystery. This is unknowable. There's no one here, but there's an apparent aliveness and radiance that does not include a you.
Great. Love it. Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. Okay. LOL. I now see there's really a bee in this box. Oh, there's bees in Zoom boxes. Ooh. Or wannabes. I like that. Thank you. This is almost like the last frontier of this speaking, right? Because there's this, when it becomes a belief that there's no me, what usually is a hold off is that there's others that's more special than me. That there are speakers, you know what I'm saying? That there is a well, you know what? There's this speaker that has more no me than Emerson. Or there's the grand master of no me. There's no one, and that's what's being expressed. There's no one. And that's usually the last, kind of like the last holding on to, right? That there is well, you know what? There's this apparent dropping away. There's this gradual falling away of that there's no one here. But apparently when it comes to other speakers, there's this Emerson that has no me completely. That's just a perception of what you're thinking about. Because there's no Emerson. So there's no less Emerson, more Emerson or half Emerson. There's just no Emerson. There's no 10%, 20%, 90%.
There's no Blanche de Chablis.
No Blanche de Chablis.
He didn't drink.
No. Gillian goes, not knowing what this is so relaxing. Yes, because there's no one to know this. This is not about arriving at something or concluding something or something better than this or something less than this, because that's just another flow, another dance in stillness. It's just really simple. This is really the simplicity of what's being expressed, that there's no you, so how could there be others? There's no time, so how could this be happening? There's nothing happening, and this is it. Hooray!
So Emerson, seeing is just a word.
It is, yeah.
So earlier in the previous session that it did not happen, you talked about the unconditional love. Being exactly what is.
Yes. Yeah.
But there's something about the seeing that, can you expand on that? About the seeing that you can't see the unknown.
Yes.
So yeah, please, thank you.
So what's being expressed is the directness of this communication and the seeing that everything is just as it is. As it is. So even the thoughts about separation, even the thoughts about 8.5 billion people is as it is. It's an illusion, but it's as it is. It feels completely real that I'm talking to you, but it's also unreal. It's unconditional love. So there's this appearance that there's this unreal appearing in the apparent wholeness, this separation, which is unreal. You know, like you're talking to me and I'm talking to you. And in unconditional love, you know, although, you know what I'm saying, there's this separation, which is not unconditional, there's this acceptance of everything that appears to happen. And that's what's being spoken about. So in the apparent experience, there's no experiencer of the apparent separate individual. There's other individuals. It's just unconditional love expressing as separation, that there's others. So it feels completely real, but it's also not real. It's not happening.
Okay, so Emerson, you were talking about the illusion that is not, I mean, the unconditional love, like, do not consider the illusion because it's an illusion.
Yes.
So can you talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. So in the wholeness or unconditional love, is that it does not see separation. It only sees unconditional love. So wholeness will only see wholeness. It doesn't see the illusion of separation. Unconditional love will not see separation. It only sees unconditional love.
So unconditional love doesn't even, like, yeah, it's unknown. It doesn't see the appearance.
No.
Because it's an illusion. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right,
yeah,
yeah.
okay.
So unconditional love is blind to conditions, which includes appearances and separation. It's completely blind to that because it only sees unconditional love.
So there's really nothing.
There's really nothing, yeah. Hooray!
Hooray. I like wow.
Yeah. Comfy seat there.
Pardon?
Comfy seat, comfortable seat.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No. It's okay.
Hey, Kim.
Hey, Emerson. Well, you know, what you just said, it actually is, I don't know, in a strange way, it comes to sounds like it's something else, that unconditional love is something else, since it doesn't, since it's blind.
It's foreign to understanding, right? Unconditional love is not understandable, but
No.
it's everything because you're trying to pinpoint it. It can't be pinpointed, and that's why it's really, really hard because it seems separate to the one that seems separate, because it includes everything. It's blind to what is separate because it's an illusion. So it only sees wholeness. So it doesn't see you, it only sees unconditional love that is you. But it doesn't see you. It sees you as unconditional love. Meaning that there's no separation. That's why it's hard to talk about this because there's an idea of what unconditional love is, accepting everything.
Yes, of course. Of course, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the hooray part of it as well, is because it doesn't see the separateness, it doesn't see separation, it doesn't see whatever that you think is it. It does not buy into the illusion. It sees right through it. It's kind of like your unconditional love wearing a mask, and then there's Kim.
Yeah.
Unconditional love sees that mask as invisible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello.
It's like, yeah, it's like, well, it's like, oh, it's like being, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, so when it's said that this is all unconditional love, there's no distinction, there's no separate, this there's no kind of like this unconditional love it's there's no conditions is what's being expressed here. And the conditions are separation. So it doesn't see conditions at all. It can never be understood. It's unknowable. No.
Yeah, actually, it reminds me of something I heard Steve, that wonderful man. I heard him say that he was to one of your retreats and attended one of your retreats, and he said, somehow I finally got that it had absolutely something you said about it had absolutely nothing to do with understanding. And
yes,
that was kind of a key point, or I don't know, a major turn for Steve. And I sensed that, and I also sense it in what you're speaking now. It's of course.
Yeah, it's not understanding. It's just beyond comprehension, and it's because you will never understand unconditional, because you only exist in conditional existence. Yes. It's conditional, right? So it can't possibly comprehend. You know what I'm saying? This. See, I can't even say it.
No, no. Thank God. Thank God for that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Emerson.
Thank you.
It was lovely.
Thank you. David, hold that thought. I'm going to go for a quick washroom break. David, please go ahead. Hey, David.
Hello. Yes. So it's just this thing about continuity and order and conditions. Those trees behind you, they seem to play by certain rules. Namely, they have the appearance that they're alive, the appearance that they're growing, the appearance that they follow their genetic code, and the fact that, in the apparent tomorrow, that they will be one, they'll have more rings around them because there'll be one day old. So my question really is if this is unconditioned freedom and it doesn't follow any rules, we know that it's free to appear as if it's conditioned. But my question is, why is there an almost infinite and everlasting continuity to this appearance?
There's really no reason for that. That's just another story, right? So there's a coming up of a story that this is completely continuous and there's no, but when there's a sleep that happens at night, all of these ideas dissolves into nothing. Yeah. The idea seems to kind of like come up at just this apparent moment that there's not even a moment, but what's being expressed is that all of this knowing is unknown. It just appears as something that's solid, that's something that's kind of like, well, that tree's appearing, there seems to be continuity, but all of this vanishes. at a blink of an eye.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing, because I was just about to talk about the blink of an eye. That's incredible.
Yes.
So I'm looking at those trees just now, and when I blink my eyes and open them again, I don't see white noise. I'm still looking at Emerson sitting back by those trees. So there is undoubtedly some order at play here, because it isn't chaos, because there is a continuity.
Yes. See, that order and chaos is just another belief. See how tricky it is?
Yeah.
You believe
definitely.
that there's an order in this chaos and everything, but that's just another belief. And that order and belief idea vanishes completely when you at the blink of an eye.
Okay, so before the blink of the eye, there's this. And then when I blink my eye and open it again, what you're saying is that there never was anything before the blink of the eye.
Exactly.
That is now a story.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a knowable, actually. You can call it a
how,
knowable. It's not known.
Yeah,
it's not
okay.
arriving at something, right?
Yeah.
So the thought always tries to arrive at something, but that thought is empty, so that arrival is locationless.
Yeah.
It never got anywhere.
And that's how speakers on this subject talk about this isn't as a result of anything that happened before, kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. There's no before or after.
Yeah. That is absolutely extraordinary. The fact that when I blink my eye, the moment it opens, there has never ever been anything prior to the blinking of the eye. In fact, there's never been a blinking of the eye.
Exactly. It's always fresh and new. But seemingly the story, there's a continuous history or a projection or trajection. There's a linearity to it. But that linearity as well is just appearing at this very moment. There was no before this.
Yeah. That's amazing, because I'm now tempted to say that, it's got to be happening, like appearing and disappearing faster than the speed of light.
Exactly.
And then I'm thinking it's happening even quicker than that. Well, quick is the wrong word, because it's not happening. It's not happening at all, is it?
How about timelessness?
Yeah, that's the one, isn't it?
Timelessness cannot really be caught in time, and the only way that you can think is in time.
Yes.
Because thinking only happens in time.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'll get to you, Susie. Carol has a question.
Well, it's not that much of a question, but it was like the me's trying to understand what's undeniable. Yeah, that's what I wanted.
What's undeniable cannot really be talked about. It's just this undeniableness that is this appearance of something happening, but it's not really happening. The undeniability that there has never been anyone is because when they're seemingly in the apparent storyline, there was a collapse, but that never really happened because there's no storyline. So whatever seems to be concluded is not a conclusion. It's a question mark. So this is a question mark. Is undeniable? So what? Thank you for finishing that.
Like the what if and the so what.
The what if and the so what appearing simultaneously. Again, the answer is in the question. Yeah.
Thank you, Emerson.
Thank you. Hi, Susie. Oh, hi. What time is it there?
My friend.
Yes. Oh, I can't hear you, Susie. Oh, I can't hear you still. I don't know why.
It's 8:42 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi.
So, yeah, very, very reasonable.
Yes, that's good.
Oh my goodness, Emerson, far out. Like I don't even know how to put any of this into words. Like I'm just shaking. Like just this. Oh my goodness, just this like the air. Just what you were just sharing with David and Kim, and I guess just what's been. It's just that everything's just empty and.
Oh. You're making Carol cry too.
Oh my goodness.
And me too. It's just this immediacy, right? It's just so
Yeah.
so when the specialness is taken off, then all ideas are bereft when it's gone, right? There's just this stunning clarity of this amazingness that cannot be put into words, this immediacy, this intimacy of something that's longed for, that's always been this way. And there's no separate thoughts that can take you away from this, because there's no one. It's just this wholeness. It's unconditional love loving itself unconditionally over and over and over again. It's saying hello.
Oh, so funny. Oh, good grief. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
goodness. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Susie.
Thank you.
Crying happening, apparently.
Hi, Emerson.
Oh, hi.
It's Jack.
Oh, hi, Jeff. How are you doing?
Good, good.
Where's Jeff? Just a second, okay, Jeff. Oh, Jack, sorry. How are you doing, Jack?
Good, good. I feel like I'm behind the projector and I witness everything like more vividly and clearly. And like the image in front of me appears to be real, I guess.
Yeah.
And I appear to be real and projecting everything that comes in front of, or that appears in front of my eyes.
Yes.
But, you know, the appearance and the image and all that is, okay, it doesn't mean anything. But what I question is sounds more than the appearance.
Yeah.
Like sounds and feelings and emotions and like deep, entangled emotions that, you know, have been there for decades, or what appears to be decades. But, you know, it does feel special, the emotions.
Yes.
So that's kind of where I don't know, if it just feels like sounds and emotions are more real than the image to me.
There's the perception of that, right? The perception, the perceiver. There's not really a perceiver. So what it sees, hears, feels, thinks, tastes, smells is an illusion. But seemingly, because it's an illusion of separation, there seems to be hierarchy and what's being felt, sensed, smelt, seen, heard.
Yeah, but how does it do it so perfectly that it feels like something like just it makes no sense.
Totally. For sometimes when I'm dreaming at night, I could smell something really, really well. And then sometimes I could really feel something really, really strong. And it feels completely real. I could really, really smell it. I could really touch it. It feels so real. So in this separation dream, or in this illusion of reality, what seems to be pointed at, what seems to be kind of like really kind of like focused on, seems absolutely real. But there's no hierarchy in illusions.
You know, I'm just wondering how it goes from, you know, being like one perfect whatever and then it just distorts itself to like the smell of bacon in the morning, you know?
Yeah.
It just like perfectly does it every time, the same time, so it smells like
Of
bacon.
course, yeah.
Like it makes no sense.
So this all stems from, let's just illuminate this a little bit closer, right? So this all seems to stem from the mind, right? That includes all thinking, imagining, remembering, feeling, sensing, seeing, smelling, hearing, tasting, and smelling. All of that is stemming from this illusory mind. So everything that it does, thinking, imagining, remembering, thinking, sensing, seeing, sensations, feeling, touching, smelling, is all an illusion. So every experience of the experiencer is an appearance in a dreamlike reality that does not exist. Kind of like when you're dreaming in a nighttime dream, everything that seems to be feeling completely real, like my dream of snorkeling, felt completely real. I could taste the salt water, I could, smell the salt water, all that kind of stuff. When I wake up, none of that ever happened. So what's being expressed there is this is just an extension of an elaborate dream of separation that includes this conversation that we're having right now, and everything prior, and everything that you think will happen in the future. That there's not anything other than this, but seemingly you're talking about something that happened maybe perhaps all the time, you know what I'm saying, in a dream, but there's no all the time. So all that's being expressed is that this is all happening all at once, and we're talking about time that does not exist. We're talking about the mind that includes thinking, imagining, remembering, singing, feeling, sensing, hearing, tasting, and the mind does not even exist. So it's a story on top of a story, or an illusion on top of a story on top of a story that keeps on generating stories to maintain the story that it's real.
And one more thing. Do you ever feel like you would just get like trapped in a nothingness eternity? Like Emerson just stops appearing?
No, there's no Emerson that appeared or disappears, right? There's just all nothingness. And nothingness is not a state, it's not a knowing, it's not a place. Nothingness appears as everything. So it appears as us talking together right now, me apparently looking at the screen right now, but there's nothing happening because it's nothing. So it doesn't get stuck anywhere because there's no stuckness anymore.
I guess that's my fear, is that like turning into nothing. Yeah. If I just meditate too deep or get to that last point, I just feel like I'll be nothing forever.
That's the thing though,
Yes, I am though, so.
There's no truth, but that's the truth, that there's no you. And seemingly it's kind of like, you can't handle the truth. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like saying there's no truth, but that's what's appearing, that there's no you. It's the nature. Yeah, it's the naturalness that there's never been a you. And what you're afraid of is already true. Yeah.
It's still projecting somehow.
But your idea of nothingness is something really so scary.
Right. How does it project from nothing?
Everything that's happening is this natural, bountiful nothingness.
Shit.
Seemingly talking to someone, seemingly kind of like moving. Whatever appears is what appears is what appears. There's nothing special about this. It's just whatever is appearing is already free.
Thank you, Emerson.
Yeah, thank you, Jack. Come back again. That's a beautiful question that you had there. David, please go ahead.
Hi, Emerson. So about 12 years ago, the movie studios Pixar, who are well known for their animated movies, it used to take up to about 7 days for their computer farms to render a single frame of one of their movies. So there's computer server farms behind all that, so requiring a massive amount of computational power to render just a single frame. Mm-hmm. So it makes me wonder. Now there is no universe. Universe is just an idea and a concept. But it makes me ask the question: what is rendering the universe?
And that's the question that tends to, you know, reveal more questions, right? Because it just is a train of thought. And that's the idea of something superior, something that I have to get there. It's kind of like almost like a root question of what's creating this? Who am I?
Yeah.
And all of that kind of stuff is the great mystery. But that just goes into a rabbit hole and always ends up as nothing.
So it's like,
because everything that you come up with or you conjure up with is an idea coming from nothing, because you are an illusion, and everything that you say is an illusory, meaning it's nothing. So nothing is being created. So what's being expressed here, that this is the uncreated, the unknown, the mystery. And everything that you come up with is a creation of your imagination.
Right. So nothing's been created.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing's been created. Yeah.
And this nothing. So there can't be nothing though, can there?
That's what the idea seems to, you know, seem to believe, right? It can't be nothing. Because it believes in something.
Yeah. Well, there can be nothing and the opposite to nothing, and they cancel each other out, but they can't exclusively be nothing.
No, it's not even nothing. Nothing is just a word seemingly trying to describe the unknowability, the impossibility of what's happening. So what's happening is this stillness appearing as this conversation, this silence appearing, and it's just completely impossible. And before we get into some awe and everything like that, this is impossible.
Yeah. I can understand no thing as everything, as being everything, but I can't understand or accept that there is nothing.
That's right. And that's the biggest holdback sometimes, right? Because there is this investment in you.
Yeah.
And you can't accept that you're nothing.
Yeah.
It's almost like the absolute humility. And
so
it's
that's interesting,
really hard.
Because, that's interesting that you're throwing that back at me and saying that me saying that I can't believe, you know, on the grand scheme of things, there is nothing. You're actually saying what you're denying there, David, is the fact that you're actually nothing.
Yes.
And what I'm doing is I'm projecting there can't be nothing away from myself.
Yeah.
Because
I'm not even talking to you.
Yeah.
See, that's what's happening right now. So you're thinking that you're being addressed, but it's not. I'm just addressing nothing.
Yeah. The head scratcher.
It's great though, huh? This is a great conversation about that, because this is what's avoided. This is kind of like the and I see some of, and this is just a story again, I see some of the pitfalls of the apparent great non-duality, or you know, speakers that talks about awareness, is they still have a finger or kind of like a stronghold on that cliff that I am. It becomes I am consciousness, I'm aware, I am everything. It's so hard to let go of that. It's so hard to let go, because here is an apparent, you know, special being that has discovered the apparent reality of what's happening, and then when they see it, it's actually really disappointing, because it does not include them.
Yeah.
It basically exposes that you're a fraud. You're not really there. And then it becomes this elaborate story of, well, actually, I am consciousness, I am everything. And I am nothing and everything, and all this kind of stuff. The moment that the I goes into this underground, this rogue thing, it pops up as another identification. So the identification of what's seemingly happening is the stronghold, or the apparent hold back, that I am the witness, I am the observer, I am abiding, I am aware. And it goes into this really kind of like, it's almost kind of like very slick maneuvering, right? Of the me inserting itself into, or I am oneness, or I am a we. There's still a stronghold there.
Yeah.
So when the rug is completely kind of like pulled under the feet, and then it just drops completely, and it's just this rock bottom of nothing, you're like, well, I guess. But also, when there is, you know, let's just call it an ego death, because that's what everybody calls it, but there's no ego to die. When the death of that egomaniacal Messiah-like complex, you know what I'm saying, or this prophet-like whatever, and it's reduced to nothing, then it becomes this extreme humility that nothing is happening. And it can communicate in a way that it exposes everything as non-mattering. Because someone can say that there's no one here, but there is your purpose. There is a reason that you're here. So it cuddles the listener.
Yeah.
That there's something to get, that there's levels to this. So it goes into this underground thing. But the most grand and humble thing that this has seen is this collapse, or this complete loss of everything. Everything that it held on to, the hope of being special, the insecurities, everything past and present and future is completely gone. And everything's just happening as it is, just the bewildering wonder of whatever's happening. Life without a you, life without a witness, life just happening by itself is glorious.
And do you no longer ponder the mysteries of the universe, do you?
No, there's no one here.
I think I would miss that.
See, that's what I'm saying, that holding on to that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the heart. And there's nothing wrong or right about holding that. That's also perfection. I'm also saying that there's nothing that's also infinity, thinking that.
Yeah.
So there's no preferred state. What is already there is already perfect because there's no one there. Even if it thinks that there's someone there.
Yeah.
It's already done.
Nice.
Okay.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Thank you.
I got one more thing, Emerson.
Oh, sure. Go ahead, please.
So this nothingness is appearing as Jack right now.
It's Jack, actually. It's not appearing as, it's actually Jack.
Okay. So
let's let's just be direct. You know what I'm saying? This is
right.
It.
So moment by moment, Jack one moment, Jack the second moment. Why is it that I cannot appear as Jack with, say, blonde hair instead of brown hair in the next moment, and stay as blonde hair?
Because this is not about fantasy.
Right.
This is not about this is not about manipulation. This is actually the opposite. This is the imagined control is completely shattered. You're thinking about the opposite, right? The opposite is that how come I'm not powerful? How come I can't take? How come I can't manifesting? Because there's no you to do any of that. It's nothing.
But when I look in the mirror, day to day, I have brown hair, and the next moment, say I want blonde hair, it's not going to appear as blonde hair. It's just going to be brown hair for now, for the next how many years or whatever.
Yeah. That well, that's what's being expressed here, that the you is just an appearance. So why would you want a different appearance? Why would you want a different illusion?
It's just an example, right?
Yeah. So the illusion is just happening by itself. It's not real.
So like
trying
Jack
to change the illusion into a blonde hair illusion is just reinserting the illusion as if it's something real. So what's being expressed here, that the illusion is completely a hoax, that there's no one there, and the absolute, there's actually, I don't want to use that word, but what is actually appearing is just this mystery that you don't have any control of, because you're not even
Jack
there.
Appearing, I would, let's say I could appear as you and feel what you're feeling, and
but there's no one here that feels anything.
Right.
Yeah.
But I should be able to do that if I'm nothing to everything.
So you're thinking about a fantasy, about some grandiose idea of what this should be. And what's being expressed here is this absolute unconditional freedom of whatever is appearing as it is, not what you want it to be.
It's not freedom then.
Well, that's your version of freedom, right? What's being expressed here is this unconditional freedom. Freedom is not personal. You're making it personal.
Well, that's it for me.
All right. All right. Thank you.
It's almost like this is free to be as it is, but not really free to be other than it is.
It's free as it is without input, without the personalization of what it should be. It appears as it is, not as a conditional freedom or not as a personal choice of what freedom should be. When it becomes an idea, it's not free anymore, because the thought of what freedom is imprisons it. It becomes my idea, my freedom.
And it's free to do that.
Yes.
It should be free to be able to bend how you like, to be honest. Like,
yeah, but that's just a fantasy of what freedom is, right?
And just because you haven't learned how to do something doesn't mean it's not possible. I mean, you can maybe learn how to do some kind of like, you know, interesting whatever. Yeah, I find it interesting, Emerson, how like, yeah, it's on the one hand you say that like it doesn't matter, you know, nothing really matters, but then it seems like sometimes you're saying that, you know, it matters that there is no you, like to call this nothing, like.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying
Okay.
that it doesn't matter if there's a you or no you. Everything is as it is already. So if there's a you there, there's nothing wrong with that. That's freedom appearing as a you.
Right. It doesn't matter if I call this boundless freedom me or not.
Yes, that's how free it is.
where is this going, this freedom?
It's not
Seems
going
like
anywhere.
it-
This is freedom doesn't have a destination. It's already here. Look at this conversation. It's appearing as whatever, right? It's appearing as this or that and everything, and it's allowed. Everything is allowed. It's just as it is.
So instead
Ghislaine.
of going,
Oh, sorry.
just moving around.
This is just stillness appearing as movement, unconditionally free, as whatever it is. Sorry, Ghislaine, go ahead. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Chris.
No, I'm not sorry. It's very interesting in a way.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, in the immediacy, there is no room for me in the immediacy. So, and if there is no room and no time, and then that's everything is gorgeous. It's just come full of, it's gorgeous. But the meeting is fascinating too, but it would never be satisfied because he missed the immediacy of everything. It's the kind of, I don't know if it's an explanation, but when there's no one, it's so fucking good. It tastes good. I don't know how to say that. So it's not constant, but when it's come like, it's like fresh air. Everything.
It is,
Bacon doesn't smell the same each time. The air is different. Everything is different. It's not known because it's fresh. So that's so cool.
It is cool, yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And it's the absence of tension.
Yeah, it's
doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
It's a retirement. It's a retirement for the belief
Yeah.
system. Yeah, it's kind of like it's a retirement from belief. It's a retirement from the fear of nothingness, and it's just this falling away. It's this free falling of everything that was previously believed. It's the unknowability of everything that was known. It's the it's unknowable, right? It's almost like the one that wants to be right all the time quit.
Oh.
It's a termination of I'm right and you're wrong, or I'm wrong and you're right. It's just that. It's just this relaxation, and it's just this like, well, there's nothing wrong or right, and there's no one here. This is just unknowable, and there's just speaking happening here, and there's just this suspension of judgment.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, yeah.
And what is doesn't need to be explained.
No.
It just is.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, thank you, Emerson.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gillian.
Emerson?
Hi.
Hi. So I just wanted to go back to what you said about these other non-duality teachers and teachings. It was so beautiful. It just, what popped up was, it's almost like the complexity has to arise with their teachings, because it just keeps veiling the simplicity of this, that this is all there is. Yeah, it's just interesting to see that, like for them to keep teaching it just, there has to be more and more complexity in what they're offering.
It's just what's happening, and it's just the unfortunate, but it's just what's happening as well, and there's nothing wrong or right about that. It's just this when trying to grasp at nothing, and trying to sell something, then there complexity happens.
Yeah.
Practices happens, and all that kind of stuff happens, and there's this almost approving of knowing something, or when there's this position that I know something, that I'm going to give it to you, that there's something that you're lacking, then there's just this reinvention of what is really simple and natural into something complex and complicated, and probably will require a few, what I'm saying,
a few thousand lifetimes to realize.
You're not quite there yet. When you come back, you'll get this. Or you're almost here in this lifetime. You just need a few sessions. So what's being, this is not good for business. What's being expressed here, this is done. This is what I always say, it's done already. Sorry, it's done. So that's why I'm sometimes surprised when people come back, saying, but I also understand that there's also this kind of like relaxation that's hearing this. It's just comforting, right? And it's just, or just entertainment.
Yeah.
Just entertainment. Yeah. But there's no holding on to anyone, because there's no one to hold on to. And that seems to be what teaching is, right? It's kind of like there's a holding on, there's a prescription. It just gets really complicated. And then all of a sudden, they've found a new way of lifestyle, like, breathing air.
And it's unending, the path that never ends.
Yes. I am actually more advanced now, because all I do is do this, you know what I'm saying? And I am really alive now. And I'm like, okay, really, you know what I'm saying? There's no one there. And that's just what's happening, and that's completely all right. I found new techniques to give to you. I did all of that, in the dream. And there's why, and there's the gladness here that this character went through it, because some characters are going backwards. You know what I'm saying? They're going back into into this. I see knowledge right now is very archaic.
Yeah, right. Like there's no, there's, yeah, it's just
almost
unknown.
like very, it's almost like very Jurassic.
Yeah. That, and that the hook for the person to hang the hat on. I know something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like and this is just making fun of it, you know, poking fun, and it's almost like a desperation. I know something. Look at me. There's no me. There's no me. But I'll show you how to become a no me, or how to be better than no me and just be air or something. I don't know. It's all right. It's all right.
Oh, thank you, Emerson.
Emerson, one last thing for me.
Yes, for sure.
Oh boy. You know, I do a lot of nothingness meditations, whatever that means. And I always try to get to the point where there's no thoughts and no projections and no sounds, or just blend everything together. Because, you know, I do have that fear of the nothingness. And as you said, the nothingness just turns into everything. But is it possible to feel that nothingness before it turns into an expression, or whatever that means? Like, just,
you can't really feel nothingness because there's no you to feel nothingness. You can't really meditate to nothingness when everything is already nothingness. You can't just do like anything because there's no you doing anything. There's no you choosing to do anything. It's just happening. So nothingness is already expressing as nothingness, and trying to get to nothingness keeps on missing the point that it's nothing.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna keep trying.
I was a teacher of meditation for about 10 years, and I graduated teachers. I thought, you know, and I thought I was an expert at it, but really most of the time I was faking it. So this is basically the illumination that whatever is happening is this, that there's no fakery in this. It's just what's happening. So when all of this apparent idea of what should be and what I can attain by meditation and everything, it's just a delusion, a grandiose delusion of nothing.
So I can't experience my greatest fear.
This is already your greatest fear. But you seem to...
That's what I'm realizing.
Yeah. This is
Thank you, Emerson.
Thank you. Thank you. Great questions. David, go ahead, please.
Hiya. So about 3 years ago, just not long after getting into this message, I lived in this little island just off the coast of France in the Channel Islands, and it's a really beautiful place. And I used to take the dog out for long walks at night. It's a really safe place, so you wouldn't be worried about walking at night up the back roads.
Yeah.
So go for long walks and look up at the stars and look up at the Milky Way, and just go off and start thinking about stuff, right? And I remember, because I got into this message, I was kind of using my imagination and fantasy probably.
Yes.
And just imagining and thinking, so what are the consequences of there actually not being anybody at all? So I'd think about that, and really enjoyable, quite romantic. And then I started thinking, right, I'm going to put on some music and I'm going to listen to one of the greats. So I put on some Mozart or Beethoven or whatever, and started to listen to this, you know, incredibly inspiring music, and thinking to myself that if there's never been anybody, or if there is nobody, and by this point I'm kind of using my imagination and trying to convince myself that there wasn't anybody. And I thought, well, where's it? Because up until now I've always thought that there was a person called Mozart who wrote this music, who was the genius. And the case is that there isn't anybody behind this apparent person, Mozart.
No.
So this music is almost coming, and I don't want to use the word God because I wasn't thinking of God, but the music itself was sort of like coming from the universe sort of thing. Yeah. And I was and all these thoughts are happening whilst I'm actually listening to the music, you know, and it was just an incredible experience. But so I guess my question to you is once it's seen that there isn't anybody, is that sort of majesticness and just amazing inspiring beautifulness, is that kind of sensed because there isn't anybody?
What's being expressed is this directness, that this directness is just this wholeness appearing as separation, appearing as music. It's like being in the middle of an orchestra and everything's playing the music all at once and thinking that there's separation happening. It's kind of like getting caught up in this illusion that there's separation. And then when you look around, it's like, oh, I'm playing the trumpet in this orchestra called nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just appearing as this vibrant picture of separation. But when, again, we talk about pulling back, right? When you step back, you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's this nothing. And the story will keep on repeating this seemingly, it's kind of like a DNA pattern, although this is just a story. What it keeps on maintaining that it's real. So if I am here, then there must be a Mozart that's real. There must be a Monet that's real. There must be an Emerson that's real. So it mimics this apparent illusion and then breaks it into this multiple illusion, mirroring each and every illusion as something that is completely real, that it has its own separate story. But really, it's one book. There's no 8.5 billion book. The only reference is coming from a singular place, and that singular place is an illusion. So everything that's coming from that singular place, stories about Mozart, this music, this whatever, this grandiose whatever is appearing, is all coming from this book of nothing with empty pages. It's all a dream. Mozart, the great works, the history, the upcoming takeover of AI.
It's understandable why there can be a reluctance to let go then, if what I just
beautiful
described.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not letting go of it. There's just this enjoyment that there's nothing happening and everything seems to be appearing and there's no one here. So if I was not letting go of it, there'll be holding of Emerson. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like, Emerson. But everything is happening anyway by itself. So there's nothing that I can do or can't do. It's just occurring in this beatific nothingness that's appearing as everything. The so whatness. So there was like, oh, there's no one here, but so what?
This wellness. This wellness that you often talk about. Is that wellness like a sort of neutral wow?
It's unconditional wow. So sometimes it's really shitty. It's kind of like, oh wow, this is disappointing. Wow, that's really bad. It's just this. It's all an appearance. It's all an appearance, right? So there is this appearance but also this appearance is seen as whole. So the reaction could be, wow, that's really bad, or wow, that's horrible, or wow, this is really amazing.
Yeah.
The reactions are coming from time, and time is an illusion. So what do we have? Ta-da, nothing. It's like a dream. Sometimes a dream is a wow, sometimes it's disappointing. Sometimes it ends too soon. You're like, I really wanted to, whatever. So this is a dream, and there's no one dreaming it. The dream is dreaming of itself infinitely. And that seems really scary, but it's just what's happening. There's a comprehension of time and space, that I'm moving through here, that I'm in existence, that I'm real, and seemingly it's hard to let go of that, but it wants also desperately to lose that.
Yeah.
Why can't it be both? Real and unreal. Why can it be not here but also here? Why can it be real and unreal? Why does it have to fall into logic and understanding? Why can't it just be a mystery? Why can't it just be a happening and an unhappening? Why can the questions be the answers at the same time? Why can't it be just this unconditional wow? Why does it have to be this ecstatic wow all the time? That leads to disappointment, doesn't it? oh, it's not this ecstatic wow that I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's as I said earlier, it's kind of like the retirement of that seeker. Although there's no seeker to retire, but it's kind of like, you know, when there's this surrendering, kind of like, okay, there's no one here. Yeah, I've been fighting all this time, but there's no time. There's nothing happening, and whatever. There's this white flag. So when this seeker kept on seeking, and it was just kept on being exposed that, oh, there's no seeker there. And there's this persistent, well, and it keeps on looking for gold when it's gold already. It's golden. This is golden. It's looking for a price, but it's the price itself. It's looking for eternity, but it's eternity itself. It's looking for its infinity, but it's infinite already. That's why there's nothing to do. There's nothing to share anymore. It's just kind of like there's just this crazy apparent character named Emerson saying that this is infinity. This is unconditional love. Hooray. Nothing else. Well, and there's no one else. There's nothing else. It's like that madman that has this card of it's the end of the world. It's the end of the me. There was never a me.
Are you telling me that
Hooray.
the end of the? Are you saying the end of the me is nigh?
Sorry, go ahead.
Are you saying the end of the me is nigh? That's what those signs say, isn't it?
Oh yeah. The end of the me is nigh. Yeah. I should make a meme. You know what I'm saying, with my face in the end of this crazy kind of like character. This is a crazy character, by the way. But there's no one here.
Okay, thanks, Emerson.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Emerson, another thing from me.
Oh, please go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead, Jack.
Okay, so, you have all kinds of people who believe in what they believe, say Catholicism or Hinduism or, non-duality, or, you have you or whatever it means to appear as you believing in, this. And, as time or whatever time means that it goes on, and you in 10 years, like Emerson in 10 years, might start to think differently than how you are now. You might not see this anymore as like the end to all things. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, how
but
do you know this is it? Like, how do you know? How
well,
can
there's
you
no
be
one.
sure?
Yeah, there's no one here that exists in
But you
time
can't
and
be
place.
sure of that.
Well, there's no one here at all. That's what the undeniable thing is, that there's no one here that chooses to do anything. But once it's seen, it cannot be unseen. So why would it go back into believing? So what was seen is that there's no belief. What was seen that there's no believer. So why would it go back to that? And there is okay, and this is the unfortunate part in the story, that there are apparent seers of this one that bases their whole talk on glimpses. This is not about a glimpse. This is the seeing that there's never been anyone here. And it's not a belief system. It's not about a
like
practice. What's that?
This is going to stay like this now, with this awareness that
This
we're
is
nothing.
permanence, yeah. There's no awareness here. There's nothing at all here. So there's always going to be nothing. So this is not going to change into teaching you how to have a better living, teaching you how to, or talking about, supreme beings or whatever. It's not going to go do that. There's actually not even a hold on this one. So if it just wants to play piano the next day, we'll just play piano and shut down the channel, because there's no one here. It doesn't really matter. But what's it's seen is that there's no one here that believes in anything anymore. There's no one that has any kind of position anymore. So going into a position of teaching something else or whatever, belief systems is it's almost impossible. It's impossible.
Thank you, Emerson. You're the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. There's no one here though, but but thank you. Thank you, Nick. This is really unreal. Yeah, this is really unreal. What's being spoken about here is the end games. It's the Armageddon, but it's also the Genesis. It's the beginning and the end. Since there's just a story, right? So there's this expression here that there's nothing happening and everything happening at the same time. And whatever seems to be appearing there is just what's appearing. Everything collapses when seemingly in the dream there's a deep sleep that happens. And let's just even collapse that a little bit more. There's always deep sleep happening. You just don't notice it. Because there's no you to notice anything. There's this illusion, the persistent illusion that I am here. Even if you believe that you're dreaming, it's still a belief system. So the deep sleep that I'm talking about is the end of belief systems. The end of knowing anything. The permanence of everything. That's being expressed. Thank you, Anita. I got it 2 for 1. Nice blouse. Well, thank you so much, everyone. That's been such a blast, talking about this apparent wildness, this apparent madness, and also at the same time sobriety, and something that is often confusing, right? The clarity in this one basically is that the simplicity is that there's nothing to offer here. This is never spoken to anyone. This actually never happened. This is a dream. Good night.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Emerson.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Emerson. Thanks.
Thanks, Emerson.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Emerson.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Emerson.
Oh, it's
Thank you,
beautiful,
Emerson.
actually. It looks very trippy, the light here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Thank you, Emerson. Love